afternoon. I'm looking forward to dropping in with all of you today. We're picking up our closing of the third week of our community Panchakarma on Broad Coven, and we always drop in with a live. And I thought we would drop in. I'm going to go ahead and check out comments over here. Hello, Miss Jenna. Good to see you showing up. I thought we would go ahead and tap into the energy in play today and how it relates to the recent shift that we had with Pluto going direct into Capricorn and the way this affects us moving forward in the long term. Of course, when we're looking at heading into the dawning of the age of Aquarius, which will really start to move forward and be progressing as we enter 2024 near the end of January there. But it really comes to a crescendo, right, when we get to the end of the age of the Kali Yuga, which will be right around, the middle of 2025. Okay, so we're starting to really head into a brand new cycle, and we're in the process of wrapping things up. Now, anything that's happening in the collective consciousness, of course, is happening in our personal lives as well. So when we're looking at this, we're looking at all stratums of being, and anything that's going on a larger scale is also happening within our personal life. So since we're on this Ayurvedic track, at Broad Coven, and we're going through this big, trajectory shift in regard to that, just, looking at our own lives, where we need to shift things, where we need to bring things to a close, where we need to start something new, where we need to think of a new way forward. I think it's helpful to kind of look at the way we can start to get this momentum going in our own lives, before it starts to play out, on the greater world stage, and the piece that we're going to be required to hold in that as things start to move forward in a new way. And we don't have a choice but to innovate. There's not going to be the ability to really stay on the same track we've been going collectively. It's an impossibility. The world is going through birthing pains, man, and it's like the old way is coming to a close. Power structures are coming undone, and we have to figure out a new way to move forward. Or we can just choose to go down with the ship, declining is always an option. And I thought today we would go ahead and drop back in with the I Ching, because I really like the way the I Ching helps to bring a focus to these issues, not only on a personal level, but also on a more worldwide level. Okay, so, the I Ching is something that has been a source of consultation since the times of Confucianism. And many generals and leaders have referred to it to make executive decisions at that time. So modern life, we tend to use it more for how to deal with the changes that we face in our own lives. And that's what the I Ching is. It's the book of changes. So it teaches you how to be in harmony with the Tao. In other words, how can you flow with the natural harmony of life and achieve the best result no matter what situation you're facing? So it's a very helpful book. If you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend you check it out. All right. It is a method of divination. You can use coins to do this divination, or you can do a traditional method, which is using yarrow sticks, but most people use coins. 3 pennies is kind of the norm in modern times, all right? You can also get special I Ching coins as well if you really want to get more into the rootsy feel of it, but it's a very valuable resource just for navigating changes, and it's amazing how in harmony it puts you with what's going on in your life. I mean, there's a reason why political leaders and generals used to consult it in making these important decisions about how to move forward in the best way. And it was 4:44 on the clock when I said that. So I already cast the I Ching for us this week and what we need to look at collectively. And I thought this would be an interesting time to do this because we recently had Pluto go direct in Capricorn, which is all about pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps and doing the grunt work, doing that work that we really don't want to do, the nuts and bolts stuff, really making sure we have good foundation in place and that we're kind of trudging forward, even though it might not be the easiest thing to do. We need to have a sense of duty and perseverance right now. And today is very significant. There's a lot of action going on with Mercury this week, all right? Mercury is still hanging out, you know, with the sun in the sign of Libra. We're about to have the shift. In fact, it's coming up really quick here, all right? Like in the next day or two, we're shifting into Scorpio. But currently we're still, you know, we're still in Libra. And this is significant, all right? Because we got a lot of Pluto action going on right now, and Pluto is one of the rulers of Scorpio, as is Mars. And right now we got Mars holding down the North Node, which is all about our destiny. And that gives us a clue as to what we might be bumping up against on the way to our destiny. Mars is, you know, the planet that's associated with war, all right? And we got Libra hanging out in the South Node, which is associated with love and beauty, but also war. People forget that aspect of Venus. So we, in typical fashion, as we have for the past few years, we have this oppositional energy between Venus and Mars. You know, it's the classic tale of time, you know, those two butting heads constantly, right? But it's really been at the forefront. And we've had a lot of Pluto action for quite a long spell now, all right? We've been trudging through a lot of old shadow material, kind of like looking at what's inside Pandora's box and getting the bejesus scared out of us. You know, dealing with all those hungry ghosts and closing up a lot of significant cycles. And that's just, it's peaking right now. All of it is peaking right now. All right. In your personal life, you're going to be feeling this. And today we got Mercury square Pluto. This comes on the tail of, you know, this action we had coming in yesterday, which was the Mercury Cazimi. And that's when it was more benevolent influence, okay? You might have gotten some important downloads that came in for you yesterday. You might have had an inspiration that came in for you yesterday. Something might have come to light for you yesterday. You might have talked to somebody. They dropped some knowledge on you, or something came through, maybe a synchronicity. It could have just been an internal feeling you had. But yesterday was a day when something likely slid into place, or maybe if you weren't very aware of it, you can kind of take a moment, you know, over the next few days and just think about what unraveled yesterday. What unraveled? Maybe it was something that unraveled. Maybe it's something that came undone. Maybe it was like a set view you had, or a certain perspective you had, or maybe it was your emotions came undone, like something broke through that gave you some kind of insight about your way forward, all right? And this could be something that you need to release, something you need to bring to a close. It could be something you need to pull in, all right? Or a direction you need to explore. Or perhaps you made a significant connection with somebody that, you know, is key or pivotal to you moving forward in your life, all right? But this is also playing out globally. These energies are affecting what we're seeing happening on the world stage as well. So naturally, it affects how we move forward in general. Yeah, you know, there's something that came forward for you yesterday, if you sit and think about it, that kind of lets you know, like, what hill you're willing to take a stand on, you know, what you're willing to really represent, fight for, what's in alignment with your integrity. And this might have to do with something where you feel like there's some kind of oppressive force in your life where you don't feel like you're really getting to stand in your power. There's some outside authority figure in your life that has power over you, or you're being suppressed in some way. Now, naturally, when we're looking at what's happening on a global level, I think everybody is feeling this. We feel the advent of change. We're seeing power structures get dismantled. We're realizing that the foundation of society isn't quite, you know, where it needs to be, that there's a lot of things that need to shift. And we're certainly seeing a decline in the Western civilization and everything that's kind of represented, you know, the whole American dream. We're realizing that it was a mirage, you know, maybe we've had on a rose-colored glasses. We've been chasing things that we thought would fulfill us, but we're finding that along the way, we lost the keys to the kingdom, and now we're trying to retrieve them, okay? So it's sort of like we're on a treasure hunt. How do I find these missing pieces? How do I get back into a place of integrity? Some of you are questioning this. Some of you may have felt like you kind of veered off course somewhere along the way, and you're wondering how you ended up in this position. It's reminding me of the talking heads days gone by. Like, you're kind of like looking at the reality around you. You're looking at the kind of connections you have. You're looking at your relationships. You're looking at the type of work you're doing, and you're going, wait a minute, how did I get here? This isn't even me. All right. So a lot of this stuff may be highlighted for you right now. And the reason why this is coming up is because you're meant to buck the system. You're meant to buck the structure. You're meant to veer off course, you know. And by veering off course, I mean the course that others told you that you were meant to be on. You know, it's about you really getting into alignment with what's true for you. And that might mean, you know, making a decision that other people don't understand, but it's in alignment with your integrity. And once you get really in touch with that, what you have conviction in, there's something that gets lit inside of you. You know, it's a passion, it's a purpose. Now, some of you have been searching for this thing and you haven't found it, but maybe you had some kind of breakthrough or some kind of insight came through yesterday. And if you're not aware of it, you might really want to get in touch with it. Okay. Maybe that's just something that you're really fed up with. You reached your breaking point with it. Well, that's a clue. That's a kind of communication, okay, that can come through and highlight something for you. So yesterday's influence with Mercury was all about, you know, turning the lights on, you know, helping you see something that you haven't seen before, that kind of like points a finger in the direction you need to head in, and maybe a little clues here and there about the steps you need to take. Okay, we have to look at this within the framework of the recent development with Pluto going direct in Capricorn, which requires us to put those boots on and get to work and, you know, do the work that's not glamorous, right? It's not the fun stuff. It's like really taking care of the foundation. And sometimes it can be seen as drudgery and it's not a lot of fun, you know, but it's what needs to be done in order to move forward in such a way where there's a really strong foundation in place. And we need to do that personally at this juncture, okay? Because we're heading into a brand new cycle in our personal lives. I mean, we're at the stage right now where everything that's gone before is being cleared from the decks, okay? So if you're still clinging to doing things the way you've always done them, or you're kind of like moving through life on autopilot, you're being kind of formulaic about things, especially in situations where you're getting pushback, or maybe you're coming up against obstacles, like you already know you lost the plot. You got to do something different. You can't just keep doing the same thing and expect that things are going to change. They're not. You know, and the problem is that right now, oh gosh, sentience, we got a lot of intractable energy in place. What's really trying to be shifted here is a lot of like fixed energy, you know, and certainly that's playing out astrologically. This has been coming in quite a bit. There might be those of the fixed signs that are really bumping up against a lot of this in their lives, or you may be bumping up against a fixed sign and finding this kind of clashing. So this is Aquarius energy, this is Scorpio energy, this is Taurus energy, this is Leo energy, all right? And there's something that needs to transform here. There's a certain kind of fixed energy, this like closed hand energy, this needing to control, this needing to have things fit within a neat little tidy box that really needs to be dismantled right now, because the energy that's coming into play is more fluid. It's more chaotic, but I want you to think of chaos more from the creative angle as opposed to the destructive angle, all right? Chaos, it made me think of that quote. It's chaos, something like what's chaos to the fly is normal to the spider, or something like that. It makes me think of the web of creation, you know, the cosmic web of creation, and how that web of creation is reflected in our earthly reality, and how we often form these connections, these networks, these creative networks, okay? It's a lot about networking right now. It's also about the network of the World Wide Web, right? This is a web of creation. A lot is going down online and a lot is happening through technology, and this will continue to develop and roll out specifically because we have Pluto going direct eventually into Aquarius, and Aquarius rules over this, you know? Aquarius rules over technology. Aquarius rules over the World Wide Web. And Aquarius also rules over community, all right? So this is about how can we form connections? How can we form community? How can we bring things together? And before we can really take it to that level, we first have to understand this within ourselves, like how can I get connected within myself? How can I form those connections? How can I use my voice? How can I take actions in my life that don't just consider my personal needs, but also consider the collective needs? How can I move out of a more individualistic kind of construct to one that considers the greater whole and the piece that I hold within that? So everybody is, you know, bumping up against these things and certainly having these kind of challenges within their relationships and within their personal life and with the kind of work they're doing. But what they're bumping up against is sort of like the way things have always been done, or this is tradition, or this is what my family says needs to happen, or all the shoulds, you know, from outside authority figures that weigh heavily on us, that keep us kind of like falling in line, you know, not wanting to disrupt things, just kind of making do because it's easier to do it this way because it's the way it's always been done, and I don't want the upheaval and I don't want the stress. And of course, this naturally flows into the challenges we're facing right now in this age of the Kali Yuga, where people are complacent, and it's absolutely not what's needed at this time. It's quite the opposite, actually. We're being asked to move into action, and not just any kind of action. This is not about moving about willy-nilly, not having a focus, just kind of like taking action for the sake of action. This is not about reaction, all right? It's not about responding to a feeling of being provoked, all right, by some outside authority. This is about acting from a place of inner authority that's arrived at through really taking that time to really listen to what the inner impulses are guiding you to do, what feels in alignment with your truth, what settles you into that place of purpose and conviction. Okay, so if you're not in touch with that because you feel very pulled in multiple directions, and so your focus and your energy is a little divided, then this can cause significant issues, right? It can cause gridlock. And this leads me to what came up for the hexagram. That's sort of running the show for the collective right now. We got it in a fixed position as well. There were no changing lines in this hexagram cast, which always means that there's a certain kind of intractableness involved that needs to be overcome. With the energy we have going on with the Mercury square Pluto aspect, this is significant because it means we're in a box. There's a challenge. This feeling of being boxed in, it feels very oppressive. It feels very restrictive. We go into the darkest parts of ourselves. We see things as being hopeless. We feel like there's no way to get out of this box. There's no way to overcome this sense of oppression in my life, or there's no way of overcoming this sense of oppression or inequity in the world when we're looking at it from a more global perspective. So this is when our whole energy can kind of get bogged down, all right? And we can get into this mire where we feel like there's no way out of it. It reminds me of like the Eeyore complex, you know, where you sort of just feel like everything has just gotten beyond the point of repair, so why do anything at all? It's like throwing in the towel energy. And it's true, it may be time to kind of like give up on a particular direction, but that doesn't mean you give up entirely. It means maybe you need to look at where your energy would be better reinvested and head in that direction. So I want to just kind of go over this particular hexagram we got here which is Kun. Number 47. It's when we have Con as the lower triagram, which is water energy leaking. Okay, and this is significant. And then the upper triagram is Tui, and Tui is the marsh. And because the water is leaking in the marsh, there's depletion, all right? And this is significant because the image associated with this hexagram is a tree that's in kind of like a contained space, and it's in this marsh, all right? And the marsh is being depleted because the water is leaking out. And because the water is leaking out, all the vegetation is starting to suffer and nothing is growing. And so there's this real need to address the stagnation immediately so there's not further loss. This is like kind of trying to, like, it's like, I got a hole in the bucket, dear Liza. You know, it's that kind of energy. You know, we got a hole in the bucket. What are we going to do to fix it? You can't just keep filling it up with water if you got a hole in the bucket. It's never going to get filled. So this is sort of like the definition of insanity, they say. You know, it's like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to get a different result. It's not going to work. If you got a hole in the bucket, you got a hole in the bucket. I never really liked that version of, you know, insanity. I don't really agree with that. I think it's more like that's the definition of stupidity in my mind. It's like you've known, you've been shown, you know, over and over and over again that this way doesn't work. This always leads to this result, and it hasn't changed no matter how stubborn you've been. And no matter how many times you try to go at it this way, it's just not going anywhere. Well, at some point you have to recognize this isn't the smartest course of action. I got to do something different, like it or not. I have to accept that this is where the situation's at. What I've done for it isn't working. And I either release this situation and I head in a new direction, or I got to do something different entirely to address this issue, all right? I'll give you a clue about what that is in a minute. Insanity is when you just go further and further and further into your head, and you sit and stew on something so much that, you know, you've lost all contact with what the reality is, you know, in the outer world. It's going too far within the brain, you know, to the point where there's a distortion, which can certainly happen if you're not connecting, right? I mean, connection is such a big part of this. This is really significant because when we got this kind of energy where we got depletion, we also got exhaustion, all right? It's like quintessentially bashing your head up against a wall, you know, and then wondering why you got a headache. You know, this is the energy. It's like you've been trying to just go after something, you know, so relentlessly and in such a stubborn way that you've worn yourself out. Now you feel depleted, you're exhausted, you feel like you've been spinning your wheels, you haven't been getting anywhere, and you're about to give up, all right? And this is like the danger zone because it's actually the opposite energy that's needed right now. What's needed to rectify the situation is we need to keep taking action. We need to keep taking action, though, in a different way. What's inhibiting this action? What's the problem? The problem is that the yang energy is being oppressed by the yin energy. So what this means is that the emotions are really stirred up. The emotions are really activated. And the emotions are in such a loop because of refusal to take action to move the energy, that one is too much in this inactive place where they're caught up in their emotional reactiveness, okay? And they're just going over the same loop again and again and again, and it's creating this like cloudiness. There's no clarity. There's no ability to discern anything. There's no ability to look at things realistically because one's kind of like caught themselves up in a hall of mirrors, you know, from being too reflective, from too mired in the emotions that have been stirred up, and making choices from that place of having the emotions activated. So being reactive. In other words, not acting from that internal authority, which comes from being centered, balanced, not being reactive, okay, but being responsive and being aware of what's happening around you, all right? Being honest with yourself about the situations you find yourself in, but not letting that be a point of allowing you to be pulled in certain directions just because you're afraid of how this situation is going to unfold or how this person may move or what may happen if you say this, do this or that. When you start making your choices based on external stimuli, as opposed to really listening to what feels right to you in your gut, what's in alignment with your integrity, that's when there's distortions. That's when we run into blockages, okay? This energy also comes in, this oppressive energy, this exhaustion, when we're in a process of moving forward in our lives, elevating in some way, having some kind of progress. We've been working really hard on something in our lives. We've been making some changes in our lives. We've been investing in something in our lives. We've gotten a certain level of success, a certain level of forward momentum. Now it's natural at that stage that this rises dissension in others who maybe don't want to see you advance, okay? So there is this energy in play with the oppressive forces, okay? This is certainly playing out on the worldwide stage, all right? We're looking at this from across all spectrums, okay? We're looking at the broad spectrum picture here. We know macrocosms reflected in microcosm, okay? This is going on globally, and it's also happening in the microcosm of our individual experiences in our own lives, within our friendships, within our family, within our jobs, you know, you name it, okay? So it's a mirrored collective energy that's out there and is in play, and it's every bit connected to Pluto. This energy ain't going anywhere, all right? And this is what people need to understand. This energy is going to continue to amplify, and especially with us heading into Scorpio season, because it's Scorpio's rulers, Mars and Pluto. It's Scorpio is going to demand that we address this. You know, we have to look at things as they are. We have to get to work. We know that with the Mars energy. Mars is associated with Aries that's sitting up in that north node right now, big emperor energy. Do you think the emperor sits on a throne because he's lazy? No, no. Do you think the emperor allows outside authorities to guide his actions? Absolutely not. Aries, we have to remember, is the first sign in the zodiac. Aries is the innovator. Aries takes the risk. And this is a climate where fortune truly does favor the bold. And, you know, had one lovely subscriber here at Coven bring up on the community post a quote. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was also relaying that, you know, no one gets free without being bold as well. And it's true. It's like where we feel oppressed in our lives, you know, you can't play small. You can't play safe. You know, sometimes you have to take some risks, and those may be emotional risks, okay? They may be physical risks. And when I say physical risks, I mean taking some action, doing something that moves you into a different environment, has you landing in a different job, you know, taking some action that maybe you never would have taken before for a multitude of reasons. Didn't have the confidence, maybe felt like the people in your family wouldn't support you in this decision, okay? It's when you got to be a little bit of a rebel, man. You might need to go your own way. You might not be in a position where you can follow the herd anymore, because if you follow the herd, you know, you're going to end up off a cliff. It's just the way it is. You know, something's waking up in you, something's stirring in you, and you know it's time. It's time to do things different. It's time to shake it up. But that being said, there's a way to go about doing things, and that's what that Pluto direct in Capricorn energy is about, because we got Big Daddy Saturn there, right? And Saturn's the enforcer. You need to go out? Okay. All right, Ted. Saturn is that enforcer energy, you know. Saturn says, hey, you know, time's ticking. There's work to be done. Get off your butt and get to it. This is a time when people may be feeling a bit butt hurt, you know. They may be feeling that it's been kind of a rough ride. They may feel like they've been rode hard and hung out to dry. And it's kind of funny because in this particular hexagram we got, number 47, one of the lines, I mean, it was really making me laugh. It said that lubrication can help. It said, you know, get some lubrication in there. It can help progress. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are kind of feeling like that right now. Like, you know, can we get some lube, man? Now, in terms of just like self-care, you know, and how do we support ourselves when we're in this state where things do feel oppressive, or where we're having to deal with a lot of kind of like heavy stuff in our lives, and we're trying to figure out, how do I get free of this, or how do I deal with this situation, or what am I supposed to do? You know, some of you feel like so confused and just so kind of like caught up in everything you've been through. You don't know. Like, I don't know what my next step is, or I don't know how to fix this, or I don't know what my part is, or how to affect change in my life. Some of you may feel like you're going through some heavy closing of karmic cycles. You know, it's weighing you down. You feel depressed. The energy feels heavy. That's natural with this particular hexagram we got, but it's not just that. We got it fixed, collective. That means that the energy is unchanging. That means until we take action, we stay stuck here. And that's not a good thing. All right. Not with this energy. So I do want to kind of like go into this a little bit and help you understand how you move forward. You are going to feel like you've got a lot of stuff coming at you right now, because what is the collective focused on at this time? Progress. All right, progress. The collective wants to progress. The collective is tired of things being stagnant, stuck, in a state of gridlock. You absolutely are feeling this in your personal lives. You're absolutely feeling this in your relationships. You're absolutely feeling this in your finances and in the practical areas of life, how you're working, how you're living in general. The collective is tired of feeling stuck. The collective wants change. The collective does not want things to stay as they have been. They're sick of the stagnation, and they're tired of feeling in the dark or confused or overwhelmed and not knowing what to do. This is a collective energy right now. It's not just something you're feeling. It's not just something your friend is feeling. It's something the whole freaking world is feeling, okay? Because this energy is there, and it's very persistent. There's only one way to overcome it, okay? There's only one way to overcome it, and that is to take action. And it may feel like the hardest thing to do right now, but it's what's necessary to get the energy moving. Now, a lot of the reason why the collective feels like, I can't take an action, I can't move this energy, is because as we have this desire to progress, and perhaps we've even taken steps to progress, right? Look at it in the framework of your personal life. Maybe you have made some changes, you know, maybe you let go of some relationship, or maybe you let go of a friendship, or maybe you changed your line of work. Maybe you started to invest in a new line of study, you know, you changed your major at school, you know. It can be a multitude of things. You picked up all your stuff, you moved across country, or you moved to a different country. Or you decide, forget it, I'm just going to roam for a while, and you're out there traveling the world. In some way, you've done something to progress in a different direction. You've done something to encourage change in your life. And as you started to advance in this direction, what you probably found is you got a lot of stuff coming at you all of a sudden. All of a sudden, you started having obstacles thrown at you. You had people who were not happy with your decision. You started to deal with a lot of conflict. You also may have dealt with some sabotaging influences. You may have felt like people were purposefully thwarting you as you were trying to move forward. And that's because you weren't falling in line with how they wanted you to move. So this energy is also in play. And this is something that naturally happens. It's just sort of a natural flow and an order to life, that what elevates will consequently deal with what wants to tear it down. Okay? So these are sort of the themes that you're facing in life. And it's also the themes that are playing out on the world stage. As the collective wants change, as the collective wants innovation, as the collective wants more freedom to move forward in a new way, to move forward in a way that is more reliant on inner authority as opposed to outer authority, the outer authority figures will start to clamp down more, all right, to get control over the situation. So these themes are very much being mimicked. Now, what do you do in a state like this, right? It's really easy to get kind of bogged down in that energy. It's really easy to sort of settle into this state of apathy, which is what this time in the Kali Yuga would absolutely encourage. Crabs in a bucket. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what it is, man. At a time like this, when you feel like the resistance or the blockages, the obstacles, the things that are kind of like confronting you as you're trying to progress, you can start to talk yourself into just staying put, right? Oh, well, maybe I'm not supposed to do this, even though it feels right to me, or this is just, you know, getting too difficult for me to continue forward. I give up. You know what I mean? But people need to understand this piece. This is really significant with this hexagram. The reason why the blockages start getting put in the path, the reason why you start encountering this resistance is because it's specifically designed to tire you out. It's designed for you to get exhausted, because if you know, the powers that be, let's just call it that, okay? Because it's certainly what's playing out globally. It's certainly what is playing out politically. Absolutely. All right. But it also plays out in your relationships. It plays out in whoever you've given this outside authority to in your life. All right. Whoever you look to kind of like set the tone for what you're allowed to do in your life. All right. And we've all done this. So, you know, and we're all in the process of breaking free of this. And in some cases, it's just stuff you inherited, right? It's your belief constructs. It's the way you look at things. It's your view of the world. It's the, you know, reality tunnel that you view your life through, right? And all of this is in a process of flux. It's going through a radical reformation. And so as that happens, it's a very destabilizing experience. It gives us these tower experiences. Tower experiences first internally. Oh my gosh, I realized like it's that moment, like same as it ever was, you know? You kind of like, whoa, I snapped out of it, you know? I realized, whoa, I created a life for myself. This isn't even in harmony with who I am and how did I get here? And so once you have that inner destabilization, it's easy to get into that place, right? Of the emotional loops. Now everything's all stirred up inside. Now you feel confused. Now you don't know the next choice you should make. But you know you want to change something, so you start to make some changes in your life. You start to explore where it does feel right for you to invest your energy. Now, as you do this, here comes the backlash, right? Here comes the backlash of the friends. Here comes the backlash of the family members. Here comes the backlash from your boss. You know, you name it, right? It all starts coming at you. The reason being is these energies, whatever these powers that be in your life are, and certainly globally, they don't want you to move in that direction because it shifts this framework of what's already in place. And people, as much as they say they don't like it, people get very comfortable in the roles they're cast in. People get very comfortable in the neat little borders that they have constructed their lives within. And anything that comes to disrupt that framework is seen as a threat. It's seen as a threat. So this resistance comes for the sole purpose of exhausting you. All the arguments, all the backlash, all the obstacles that get thrown in your path, all the reasons why you can't do it. It's there purely for the purpose to exhaust you, to wear you out so much that you'll just say, forget it. I'll just stay here. I'll just stay in this role. I'll just keep doing this. Forget it. I knew I shouldn't have dreamed that dream. I knew I shouldn't have hoped for something more. I knew I shouldn't be optimistic, like it's all for nothing. It's designed that way. But what people often forget is sometimes these challengers come on our paths as a way to actually awaken something inside of us that couldn't happen otherwise. All right. Yeah, look here, this is where you are, right? That's what the collective feels like. It's been one thing after another. Every time I try to level up in my life, every time I try to make a choice that feels like this is in alignment with my truth, this feels right for me. I know that my friends don't agree with this, or I know my family doesn't see it this way. I know this isn't what I've always done. I know this is a huge shift for me. But this felt right. And every time I take a step in this direction, all I get is a bunch of stuff coming at me, man. And you're tired, boss. You're tired. You know, you've been working hard to change your life. You've been working hard to move in a new direction. You've been working really hard and you're exhausted. And you're just prepared for more coming at you. Well, I'm here to tell you there's going to be more coming at you. There is. It's not going anywhere. And that's what the collective really needs to understand right now. You want it to stop. It's not going to. You have a choice. Are you going to let it just run over you? That's your choice. You can either stand for what you believe in your life. You can stand for your sense of autonomy, okay? Because we're still looking at autonomy even within the structure of the collective, right? You're still an individual with individual desires and dreams and goals and aspirations and truths, right? You have your own convictions. You have life that you want to live on your terms. You've got a choice. You can stand for that or you can fall for anything. Now, naturally, if we support this freedom of everybody, that we all should have the choice to live life on our terms according to what feels in integrity for us, well, then we get cooking, right? Then we can move somewhere. Then we can really get a movement going, right? And maybe if we can all be invested in this, that's a way we can really feel a sense of inspiration. That's something everybody can get on board with, like, hell yeah, you know? I want to live my life on my terms. I want to see you live your life on your terms too, but this is the problem. Well, I want to live my life on my terms, but I don't want you to live your life on your terms. And so this is where we run into the clash, right? This is where we get this kind of gridlock action going on, right? So, and this is exactly what needs to be overcome at this point. So we know there's resistance, okay? Where there's a desire to evolve in our lives, where there's a desire for some kind of revolution in our lives, where there's a desire to rebel from tradition and to head on a new track or do something radically different. We know there is guaranteed to be resistance. We know it's not going to be smooth sailing. We know there's going to be challenges. There's going to be outside authority figures that are going to want to block that. There's going to be gridlock. There's going to be a clashing and a battle of wills. We know that. Here's the thing, though. When it comes to a battle of wills, there can only be a battle of wills if you are reactive. So just because you get some kind of outside authority coming at you, trying to, you know, dissuade you by making things difficult for you, looking at this from a very kind of authoritarian way, this can look like red tape. This can look like a bunch of bureaucratic BS that you got to wade through to make something happen. This can look like, you know, funds being held up by certain structures, you know, and this can cause a lot of issues. This can cause a lot of problems. You know, there's certain rules that are put in place are a lot to overcome when you're trying to move something forward, right? Okay, so that's like one way you could look at it. but certainly in your relationships and in your personal life, you can run into these same challenges where, you know, one person after another who doesn't agree with the direction you want to head in can thwart you, you know, by putting obstacles in your path, or just making things unnecessarily difficult, or arguing with you, or creating some kind of drama in your life to distract you, or just throwing a wrench in the works. This is the stuff that comes up. When people are very comfortable with the way things have been and you come along and you're disrupting that, you will face these challenges. So the key to overcoming these challenges, first of all, is not to stop in your tracks, okay? You're not meant to now get confused and go, oh, gee, maybe I shouldn't do this because there's a lot of backlash if I do this. No, you wanted to head in that direction. That's what inspired you. That's what lit you up. That's what was motivating you to move forward. You wanted to head in this direction. It felt right to you. It's in integrity for you. So you can't stop, okay? You got to answer your calling. You got to answer your calling. Look at this. It's your destiny with the 10 of Pentacles to the 4 of Wands. There's total alignment here. You know you're supposed to head in this direction. This is your arrival point. It's you stepping up to your North Node. It brings you a spirit of celebration in your life. It brings you to a homecoming, a point of arrival. You land in that North Star. This is you listening to your inner calling. So you know this is in integrity for you. You're completely invested in it on a soul level. It's just the outer world doesn't agree with that. And this is when you will be tested. Okay, there's always a test. Anytime we're standing up for something that we believe in that maybe breaks with tradition or is different from what people are used to expecting out of us, you know, where we're breaking the mold in some way, or we're moving into greater expansion or freedom, you know, there's going to be resistance to this. So there's a certain way that you have to deal with these challenges when this comes up, all right? Because we know, okay, we're going to be opposed by attack that's meant to exhaust us. So we'll just give up. You're not meant to give up. You're also not meant to be reactive, okay? Let people have their opinions. Do you need to argue with them? Let them talk, right? Let them disagree. Do you need to prove yourself? It doesn't matter. If you engage in arguing with these people or trying to explain to them why you need to head in this direction or why this is true for you, you're wasting your breath, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your time. This is one of the reasons why you're exhausted. You keep trying to explain things to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And they're also not invested in what you're invested in. They're not invested in you living by your truth. They're invested in you living by their truth because it works for them. That works for them, but it doesn't work for you. So here's the first way that you can kind of break that cycle. The first thing you need to do so you're not so exhausted is you need to stop going in circles arguing with these people or trying to convince them to see things your way or trying to get them to understand you, because it's not going to happen. All right? It's not. And you're wasting your energy and it's distracting you. So this is why you're in this state of like emotional, look, this is the truth. Ace of Swords. You know, you really need to just cut this off. You've made your decision. You know what's true for you. You've spoken your truth. You've taken an action in the direction of your truth. Okay, keep going. Keep going and stop trying to convince people and stop trying to, you know, repeat yourself over and over again or get them on your side. They're not. They don't agree. Okay, you don't agree. That's fine. I'm just drawing a line here. I've made my choice, you know. You don't have to agree with it. And I'm not going to be provoked into getting into an argument with it because it's pointless. We see things differently. And your truth doesn't have to be my truth and vice versa. So, okay, live and let live. I'm going to do this thing. And you keep moving. Just as one choice in and of itself. If you stop arguing, if you stop trying to defend yourself, if you stop repeating yourself, if you stop engaging with the drama where you're getting this backlash, this pushback, just that alone, you're going to get so much of your energy and time back. You're also going to get so much of your clarity back. It will be unbelievable. It reminds me of the song I'm Going to the West by Connie Dover. Having a dream and a goal, and someone will not go with you, but you still go. Absolutely. You got to answer, your soul's calling. You got to answer your soul's calling. And not everybody's going to get it. It's your calling. Some people may think you're crazy. Well, maybe you are a little crazy. Maybe you need to get a little crazy. Maybe you've been too contained for too long. It's time for you to sort of like start coloring outside of the lines, and explore yourself creatively. And at the end of the day, it's your life. It's your life. If it's lighting you up, if it's exciting you, maybe some of the choices you're making are risky. Maybe it means you will deal with some challenges, but you know what? It's your path and you're called to it. And sometimes those challenges come on your path as a way to sort of like soulsmith. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're faced with the challenge, you have to rise up to it. So there's new qualities that you have to invoke within yourself. You have to discover your resilience. You have to discover your conviction. You have to discover your tenacity. You have to discover your creativity, ways to find your way around a challenge. People forget the learning opportunity that's available within a challenge. They only see it as a roadblock. They don't use it as an invitation to go, oh, how can I practice some innovation? Okay, this doesn't work. That doesn't mean it's a failure. It's teaching you something. And in fact, anytime we're looking at success, failure is part of the journey of arriving at success. It just is. The way you start with a vision or a goal or a direction you're pursuing will not be the way you finish it. It never works like that. You're always going to be in a process of reinvention. You're always going to be challenged to look at things in a new way. There will always be problems that present themselves. It doesn't mean you stop, okay? It just means, okay, this way doesn't work, or there's something I'm missing here, or maybe there's a skill I need that I don't have and I need to learn something new. Or maybe I'm missing something in my perspective, like there's something I'm not seeing that could make this a lot easier and a lot more efficient. You know what I'm saying? That's that Pluto and Capricorn energy. It's looking at the situation. It's looking at the challenges you're facing and going, okay, how can I make this work better? Like there's something I'm not seeing here. There's something that's off in the foundation. There's some way I'm working that's making this harder than it needs to be. And that's a big theme right now too. It's like, yeah, work hard, but don't work yourself into the ground, okay? It's like work smarter, not harder, all right? And part of working smarter means that you stop dissipating your energy. So where the energy is not productive, where it's not constructive, where there's not something to build off of it, you cut that off. Where you got a habit that's draining your time, your energy, your resources, you address it. Where you got a connection that just keeps asking you to justify yourself, to justify your decisions, and you're in this circular argument with this person, that's not constructive. If you know what you know when you know it, and you're committed to heading in a certain direction, it's your truth, and you know at the end of the day you're not willing to compromise on it, stop compromising. Are you going to upset some people? Yeah. Yep. 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 I mean, this is what boundaries are about. You will always upset people when you start laying down your boundaries. They're not going to like it. They're not going to like it. Do you think that has anything to do with you? Your happiness, your fulfillment, your purpose, your passion, your goals, the life you're meant to live, your destiny, your North Node. Do you think that's factoring into their distaste for your choices at all? Absolutely not. Absolutely. It's about them. So don't live your life according to what somebody else thinks about it, because they're looking at it from the filter of, if you're experiencing backlash, they're looking at it from the filter of, well, but this doesn't work for me. Okay. I understand. That's unfortunate. but this is my life. And you know, you only get one life. I mean, I don't know. Depends on your school of thought. But even if there is like, you know, and I don't know, nobody really knows ultimately at the end of the day. But even if there are multiple lives, even if you do have this picture of reincarnation, or we continue to exist on different planes of existence, whatever it may be, we all have our theories, but ultimately it's great mystery. None of us know for sure. Usually we're not like consciously aware of that most of the time, right? So it's like, this is the life you're in. You're in this life. And this is the only time you're going to get this life. So, you know, do you really want to live your life in such a way where when you're at your last moments, you're laying there going, oh man, coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know, who wants to live with regret? At the end of the day, you know, you got to go for this thing. I mean, look at how it turns out with you investing this direction. This is as good as it gets. Okay, this is total fulfillment. And you're not going to be alone on this journey. And certainly this speaks of the greater revolution picture here, right? Like, you're not alone on this journey. Everybody wants this. We all want this. We all want this arrival point, and we want to get there together. You know, we want to bring it together. We want to bring it together as community, and we want to create this, you know, this inheritance. It's the birthright. It's what we're here to live out in our earthly existence. We can let it be stolen away from us by allowing outside authorities to say, well, this is the way it is, fall in line and fit in your neat little box and do as I say, not as I do. Isn't that often the case? Isn't that often the case with people you get backlash from in your personal life too? Oh, they're out doing what they want to do, you know? You're supposed to be cool with their choices, you know? You just have to fall in line with their decisions. But if you start to move outside of what they find acceptable for you, then there's a problem, right? Some of you are dealing with that issue, for that blockage to come in right at that point. You got to start questioning these things, and you got to stay centered in what you know is true for you. All right, so what do we do? How do you move forward? Because you don't want to stay in this place where we're at, okay? Because where we're at right now, you're going to just stay gridlocked. And where you're feeling frustrated, you know how you want this progress, you want to move forward, you want to see change. We got this hexagram for the collective coming in fixed. It's unchanging. In other words, nothing's going to change. Everything you're dealing with right now, okay? Everything that is frustrating you in your life right now is not going to change until you start taking action in alignment with your truth and your integrity. You cannot sit here anymore. You can't. You can't. You can't. I mean, you can. But as frustrated as you're feeling right now, as stuck as you're feeling right now, as unhappy, unfulfilled as you're feeling right now, frustrated, angry, you name it, worn out, exhausted, oppressed, it's going to keep going. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. You really need to like get the memo on this. We all need to get the memo on this. It is not going to stop. It is not going to let up. There's no miracle coming that's going to release you from this or save you or save us, humanity. It's not going to happen. There's only one way it's going to shift. You got to take action. You have to get moving. You have to start investing your energy in a new direction, in doing things a new way. If you're healing a relationship with somebody, okay, and you've been in like this gridlock position with this person forever, it's not going to get better if you keep going about it the way that you have. You need to take action. If you are somebody who's just like sitting on your butt and you're not actively trying to work on healing a situation that you have with another person, or you're just holding out, you know, stubborn in your position, intractable, like, well, they got to come to me, or I'm not going to let my guard down. Or if you're in these intractable positions, you are going to stay there. Nothing is going to save you. Like, where you need to shift, you need to shift, and you need to shift now. Or you can stay stuck here. That's the reality of the situation. Things are going to continue to stagnate. Things are going to continue to be stuck. You're going to continue to stay in that 9 of Wands, which is your fear. It's the thing you're wanting to avoid. You keep feeling like it's going to be one thing or another coming at you, one fire after another to put out. Guess what? You're right. It will if you continue to stay there and you continue to man that post. No, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to change my position. I'm just going to stay here dutiful, and I'm just going to guard this post. You're going to continue to deal with one thing after another coming at you. You need to do things differently. That's what this hexagram is all about. Okay, so the first thing is, the first key to breaking free of this cycle is don't be reactive. All right, don't be reactive. Go ahead, let people poke, let people talk, let people gossip, let people tell you you're wrong, let them laugh at you, let them think you're a fool. All right, it doesn't matter. Talk is cheap. Put your money where your mouth is. You know, if this is all about you, just do the damn thing. Alrighty, okay, just do the damn thing. Let them talk. The proof will be in the pudding. Your job is to take action. Okay, if you're not reactive, you're going to save yourself a whole lot of energy. If you just let people say what they want to say, have their impressions they want to have, you know, try to like capture your attention with nonsense, what's going to end up happening is eventually you're just going to, you know, divert your attention from that, and you're going to put it on what you should put it on, what you want to do, the direction you're heading in. Hi, Julie. Good to see you. Okay. This is essential right now. You got to focus on where you know you need to head. You got to focus on what is true for you and shut out the noise from the peanut gallery. Don't react to it. Don't speak to it. Don't argue with it. Don't try to explain yourself to it. They're not there to understand you. They're not there to agree with you. They're not there to get on your side. Will they eventually? Maybe. But the only way that they're going to have a shift in perspective is if you continue to just move in this direction, take the action that you know you need to take. Keep heading in that direction dutifully, one step at a time, laying down the foundation properly. Remember, Pluto and Capricorn requires us to move smart, okay? This is not about moving in an external fray. This is not about impulsive actions. This is about smart, measured, consistent action. Slow and steady wins the race, all right? But just keep moving. Don't stop, all right? If you stop and you get caught up in this crap, you're not going to get where you need to go. And it's going to be a problem. And you're going to have more and more challenges come up on your path. It's going to get worse, right? But if you keep moving, there's going to be something that takes over. This is what this hexagram is about. If you keep moving, if you keep taking action, if you keep taking very dutiful, measured, wise action, laying down those bricks one by one, putting down that foundation, and you head in the direction that your truth is calling you in now, all right? Silencing all the objections, not participating in it, cutting off where you need to cut off, laying boundaries down where you need to lay down boundaries. If you do this, then what happens is an auspicious opportunity comes your way, all right? And it gives you the chance to actually move forward with greater ease. Now, we talk about moving forward. We talk about auspiciousness coming in if you apply yourself in this way, and you'll have this progress. There's a key to this, though. Remember that piece that I thought was kind of funny, all right? You know, you'll progress more smoothly if you apply some lubricant. This is actually an accident. Some people will feel butthurt about this because they'll realize that they were wrong. You know what I'm saying? They'll realize like, oh, snap, you know, they actually were onto something, or this is what they should be doing, or it seems like they're having some progress in their life, or they're having some success, or things are moving in a more positive direction for them. All right. This can be an opportunity down the road, not right now, but this can be an opportunity down the road when you might actually be able to get back on the same page with some people. You may actually be able to have healings and connections. You may even get some people that are like, you know what? I understand now, and I want to get on board too. Okay, so anything's possible down the road. It's just on the way to getting there. All right, on the way to getting there, it can be difficult, and that's what happens with any kind of major change, right? We know that this is just something we come up against. It's a natural part of any kind of revolutionary change in our personal lives and certainly in the global community. Okay, but the thing is when this opportunity comes your way, right? If you apply yourself, if you do the work, if you just stay focused and don't get distracted or reactive, you want to move forward in such a way where even when you get this lucky break that comes through, that's what it really comes through as, this opportunity, this golden opportunity. You don't want to gloat about it, okay? You don't want to rub it in people's faces. You don't want to use it as a way to thereby become the very thing that you detest, right? So you felt oppressed by these people or by these situations you're dealing with or by, the powers that be. You don't want to turn into an oppressor, right? So this isn't about then, using that power of having this advancement in your life in a destructive way. You want to use it in such a way that it empowers others. And how can it empower others? Well, it empowers others if you just continue to stay the course and be in alignment with your truth and be in alignment with your vision. And maybe people can be inspired then, but sometimes this is what happens, right? Like maybe somebody's dealt with a lot of challenges on their path. They've been trying to, reach a certain goal, or they've been trying to achieve some kind of success in their life, and they dealt with one roadblock after another. And maybe they even had a lot of people coming at them or working against them or causing more problems for them than necessary. And then they finally get a real golden opportunity. They experience this moment of success. And then what do? They showboat, right? They showboat, they brag, they put people down, they get cocky. All right, pride always comes before a fall. That we don't want to become that very thing that we had to rise up against. You know what I'm saying? So this is about really understanding the uses of power too. Even as you become empowered, you want to remember to hold it in balance, to not use it as a way to disempower others. You want it to be a way to inspire others. And this is where that piece comes in, about really shifting the consciousness, where it's not about the individual. It is about the collective. It is about what's best for the greater whole. So this is a very important part of moving forward. It's also important right now that you remember the long-term effects if you continue to stay stuck when you know you should be moving forward. All right. This can really cause problems, long-term problems that, let's look realistically at it. If you're dealing with something that's wearing you out, you're exhausted, and you're dealing with a high level of stress, eventually it can even lead to health problems. It can lead to mental issues. You know what I'm saying? It can lead you into such a state of stagnation in your life that you do give up. This is what can happen to people. We know this. We've seen this happen before. So anywhere where you're dealing with a situation where you've given it your best shot, man, you've really been trying to work something out with somebody, or you've been trying to improve the situation, and you've just become stubborn and you just keep trying to get things to go your way, there has to be some point where you stop and you go, you know what? This isn't in my best interest. Oh, look at this. This is what had come out here. 6 of Wands in reverse to the Page of Pentacles in reverse. It's like You keep trying to get something off the ground, or you keep trying to make a relationship work. You keep trying to take these actions, but it's not happening because it still stays at this, like, just like the very bare minimum starting stage. Now, this can be for a couple different reasons, okay? And I want to bring them all forward. This could be because there's some skill, there's some education, there's something you need to learn that you haven't learned, and that's what's preventing you from moving forward. And maybe you just keep thinking like, what? No, I got the answers. This is the way it needs to be done. And because you're missing some essential building block, you're not getting the success you desire. It's not getting off the ground, okay? So you might need to learn something new. This could be, if you're looking at a work situation, this could be you need to get some kind of new skill, okay? You might need to go and get some kind of training. You might need to go get some kind of certification. You may need to deal with some bureaucratic process, get some kind of license, you know, get an LLC, something along these lines in order to move things forward, okay? This can also be you're not committed enough, okay? With the Page of Pentacles here, and it's in reverse. It's like you're just putting the bare minimum of effort forward. It's not enough. You need to do a lot more than that if you expect there to be success. You're invested sometimes, and then you get lazy and you put it off because you thought maybe you'd have some instant success, and things aren't happening as fast as you thought it would. You thought you'd be an overnight success. You've kind of had these like unrealistic views of how you thought things should go. Whatever you had in mind is not matching up to the reality of the situation. So you kind of like, you give a little bit to it, but you're not fully in. You're not all in. Anywhere where you're not fully all in, on board, 100% invested, giving consistent, steady time, focus, energy, attention, and taking action, even if it's, maybe you're not moving forward really rapidly. Maybe, you got to look at the reality of where you're at, how tired you are, where you're already committed, and you got to kind of balance things out within the framework of that. It's like, okay, how can I continue to put steady focus, drive, attention, energy, and action in this direction without depleting myself? Well, naturally, when we look at that, we know there's certain things that need to be cut off. Certain things need to go. Where am I wasting my time? Where am I putting my energy and focus, and it's draining me? That needs to go. If you free things up, then you're not going to be overwhelmed. Then you're not going to be overloaded. And on top of that, you're going to be inspired because you're going to actually be heading in the direction that's right for you, that feels right for you, and that you want to head in. And that makes all the difference in the world, even if other people don't agree with it, right? But this is not enough effort, not enough investment, not enough tangible action, not doing the work and expecting success. It's not going to work. This is also, trying to do the same thing over and over and over again and wondering why I'm getting the same result. It's not turning out the way I want. This might be coming up strongly for earth sign placements, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Look at where you have these signs in your chart. This might give you a clue where you might need to invest a little bit more solidly, where you could use with a little like streamlining, a little more focus, a little less distraction, where you might need to learn something new, or you might need to develop a skill, or where you might need to move in a different way, get a different view, a different perspective, all right? If you don't have any of those signs in your chart, then I suggest you looking at the houses associated with those signs, okay? Taurus is the second house. That's the area of your finances, what you invest in, your sense of self-worth, what you value at the end of the day, okay? For Virgo, that's the sixth house. That's all about work and habits, okay? So where do you need to shift things in that regard? Where are you not focused enough? Where do you maybe change some of your habits, but then you backslide, these kind of things. Where are you just not really invested in your work, or you're working in a scattered way, With Capricorn at the forefront, it's really about, no, you need to be you know, on your stuff. You need to really be consistent. You need to have a schedule. You need to be organized, and you need to give this continual effort. All right. Very, very essential. Super, super important. All right. It's also like, in some cases, you might just be investing in the wrong direction. Maybe this isn't the direction for you. And maybe you've just gotten so stubborn about thinking, this is the direction for me. I'm not giving up, you know? And it's become more an issue of pride than really being something that's truly in alignment for you. Okay. And so this needs to be questioned. The final sign with that Capricorn, 10th house. Okay. So 10th house has everything to do with, well, we're talking about Capricorn right now, but it's also about your image. Okay. It's like, it's your reputation. It's how you're viewed on a public level. All right. It can also be your brand. All right. So these are all areas where you might really want to have like a second look, you know, and where are you just like committed to something and not giving up on it despite it not working, despite facing challenges, just because, you know, you're invested in your image. Like you're trying to save face. All right. This can be a part of the picture too. There's also this message that comes through when we have this 47th hexagram coon in this like locked position where it's unchanging, where it's really letting you know that, you know, having the patience of a saint is just going to wear you out. You can wait until the cows come home, and the situation is what it is. It just is what it is. And there's this piece about having some grace and having some acceptance and understanding when something is for you and when it isn't for you. And knowing the wisdom of letting go and trusting the flow of life and trusting where the energy is freed up for you or where it's leading you. So all of these things are coming forward, and it's really necessary for us to look at these things, because when you're oppressed on this level and you're this boxed in and you're this confined, you really have to understand how unhealthy that is. It's unhealthy on multiple levels. It's unhealthy mentally. It's unhealthy emotionally. It's unhealthy practically. This is when you're going to notice that just nothing works in your life. It'll rock your stability too much. It'll be hard to manifest. It will be hard to generate, you know, a good livelihood, you know, to thrive financially, to have any level of stability in your life. You know, you really have to look at what is the long-term cost of being stubborn and recognizing that at one point have I become a martyr, you know? It's like, get off that cross you put yourself on and use that lumber to build a bridge, get over it, and head in a direction that you'll find the way smoother going. All right. We know that if you move into action, and sometimes the action is cutting something off and letting something go, because you recognize I've done all I can do. There is no fulfillment here. It's not even in alignment with who I am. I'm not even happy here. This isn't fulfilling me. It's not in alignment with my truth. I don't have conviction about this anymore. I'm just here out of duty or whatever it may be. You know, as soon as you do that, you make that choice, that's an action, okay? And as soon as you speak to it, as soon as you take a step in that direction, that's an action. All right, now the way opens, okay? Now things can start to come into alignment, and that auspiciousness that wants to come in for you, that good turn of fortune, that lucky break, that opportunity will come your way, all right? It absolutely will. You know, these are all pieces that are super, super important. But one thing is certain, you need to change right now. Whatever you're doing right now, for this to come up in the unchanging position, you need to change right now. There's something that you're doing in your life that's out of alignment with the truth of who you are and what you know you need to be doing. And you're just sort of going through the motions because you're scared or you're uncertain about the next step, or you're afraid of the backlash, or you've allowed other people to kind of like hold you back because you're getting a lot of backlash from them. and you absolutely cannot continue on in this direction because the price is way, way too high, collective, all right? So give some guidance to your spirit about what's really needed at this time and what kind of action might point the best way forward for the collective. And if this action is taken, what comes in? What's on the other side of taking this action? What does this action look like? Just give some clarity about this, all right? And in the meantime, you know, that lubricant piece, okay, rub some cream on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, take care of yourself. Bring in more things that nurture you. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, right? Give yourself some pampering. Make sure you're eating nourishing meals. Like, show up for yourself. Don't neglect your care and cause further depletion. Yeah, here it is. You know, this is it. You know that taking a stand in the direction that you feel called to move in will mean that it's going to bring a tower. You know that it's going to cause disruption. You know that there's going to be upheaval in association with this. And because of this, you keep telling yourself that you don't know what to do. You don't know how to move forward. I don't know what's right. Bullshit. You already know. You're just afraid of confronting the tower. You're afraid of taking a stand for what you believe in. And so even if you just begin there and admit that to yourself, I've been staying in this position because I'm afraid of the backlash. I'm afraid of the upheaval. I'm afraid of it rocking my security, or I don't know what the future looks like, and the unknown terrifies me. Even just admitting that truth to yourself is taking an action. It's getting a different perspective. And this little shift is enough to start changing things for you. And then from there, remember, it's not about moving forward impulsively, right? It's about laying things down one step at a time. So maybe you start researching, okay, what are the steps I need to take to start to move in this direction? Maybe you start there, okay? Or maybe it's as simple as I need to reach out to this person. I need to have a conversation with them. You know what I'm saying? So you just get the ball rolling. Stop staying in your head about it. You've thought about it enough, and you're just working yourself into a ball of confusion, and you're tying yourself in knots, and you're in a self-imposed prison. You need to break out of this. 8 of Swords is like hexagram 47 exemplified in tarot form. This is where the collective's at right now. Look, it's wide open. You can walk out anytime. You are not trapped. You are not a victim. You're just refusing to take action because it's easier for you to stay in this place. It's easier for you to blame the authority figures that you have put in that position. You've put them in that position. You've made them the authority in your life. It's easier for you to say, I can't do this because so-and-so this and so-and-so that. It's easier for you. It's more comfortable for you. You've got Stockholm syndrome. And there's only one way you can get free. And it has nothing to do with these outside authority figures. And then making the way easier for you, smoothing the way forward, because they won't. It's you. You got to understand that to live by my truth means I got to be bold. To have the freedom I want means I got to be bold. Yeah, there's going to be upheaval. But you know what? It can be exciting too. All right? At least it won't be boring. You're not going to be stuck anymore. And won't that be better? Is that better? Isn't it better to take a stand for something you really believe in than to just stay complacent and stuck in a position in life, in a relationship, in a station, in a role, in whatever that is just so out of harmony with you, you already feel like you're dead? What's the point? A rut is pretty much just like a grave. The only difference is the dimensions. You know what I'm saying? So only you can free yourself from this. What we got going on here? Yeah, you got a choice. The Lovers, you got a choice. And I'm telling you, your choice is either to roll over in apathy, give up, and be rolled over by the machine or by those outside authority figures in your life, okay? When you're looking at your personal life, this could be, you know, your mother, your father, your lover, your brother, your sister, your friend, your boss, okay? The government. You can choose. You can choose that route. It's a choice, but this is your choice. Or you can go for the garden of earthly delight. You know, you can go for the life that lights you up, that inspires you, that connects you with a sense of meaning and passion and purpose. And is it safe? No. But safety is an illusion. There is no safety. There isn't. Even security is an illusion because life is in a constant state of flux. It's never in a steady state. It's not even a reasonable expectation. And we know all the most beautiful things in life, love, truth, freedom. There's no safe spaces. Okay? So it's worth the risk, man. But you got to make the decision. That's what this energy is requiring of you with the King of Swords, okay? Big South Node energy. You need to take action. Masculine principle. You need to take action. You need to make a decision. You need to make it be firm. You need to draw your line in the sand. You need to cut off what doesn't serve you. And you need to get to work. Okay? So this is the choice before you, all right? If the collective does this work, if they get brave and they fall in alignment with their truth, their integrity, and what they have conviction in, they take this stand. What's on the other side of that? What is this auspicious opportunity that comes in? We're going to do a cut of the deck here to close this out. Ooh, look at that. Ace of Wands, and it comes fast too. It comes in the fall. Ooh, Temperance. This is beautiful. Alchemy, transformation, healing, balance. I mean, come on. Why wouldn't you want this? In fact, you could probably see it in Sagittarius season. This is the sign of Sagittarius. This card represents Sagittarius, all right? That also speaks to the area of transformation, all right? When we're looking at Sagittarius, we're looking at philosophy, we're looking at expansion, we're looking at Jupiter energy, which is like that big luck, you know, break. This is that opportunity to step into something more. This is also spirituality. This is also travel, okay? So this is going places. It's not staying stuck. It's also optimism. And this is an important part in moving forward too. The best way to move forward is just to choose your direction, choose your course, let it be in alignment with your truth, your integrity, what inspires you, and what's real for you. And then even though it might be a struggle, okay, even though it might not come easy, even though you have to put one foot in front of the other, you have to do, you know, the drudgery work, even though you might come up against resistance, you just keep doing the work. You whistle while you work. You move forward with a sense of optimism because at least what you're investing in is in alignment with your truth, okay? But look how it turns out. Big, bold action leads to a brand new direction. And there's some fire behind this, okay? It gets you lit up, brings you into a place of enthusiasm and transformation in your life. This is really beautiful energy. What's on the other side of this Temperance? Queen of Wands energy, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, that independence, that wielding your fire, you know, really standing up for yourself, moving forward with passion and purpose. I really like this, and I just want to see what's behind here. Healing, celebration, cheers, right? You'll have something to celebrate if you move in this direction. Everything that you want, this healing, this moment of arrival, this celebration, you know, that what's promised, that opened up the reading, that 10 of Pentacles to the, you know, 4 of Wands, stepping into that place of, you know, something that's built to last. Your foundation, your foundation for the legacy that you'll leave behind after you're long gone. You know, this is you stepping up into your North Node, your destiny. This is what's on offer, but it's up to you. It's not going to be comfortable. You got to make some choices and you got to cut some things off, but you head in that direction, and it's a good thing. Okay. I just picked up this half of the deck, and I'm looking again. There's some earth sign energy that needs to be rooted here. Okay. So those areas that came up is where the collective's really needing to focus in the area of work and habits, your routines, finances, what you invest in, also your sense of self-worth. This is very important at this time. How you want to be represented, you know, how do you want to be seen? What's your platform? What's your brand? What do you represent? How are you representing yourself on the grander stage of life? All of this is really coming up for review, and it's so important. Okay. So this is what came in for this week, and I hope it gives you all something to consider and think about, and that you'll understand that these shadow influences, they are front and center. I mean, you are going to deal with oppressive energy at this time. It's not going anywhere. So it's really understanding that this is just where we're at collectively, and we have to work within this structure in order to forge a new way ahead. And the best way to do that is to get in alignment with something that you do feel optimistic about, something that you do have enthusiasm about, something that does light you up, gets your passion and purpose engaged. Because when you start living according to, you know, what's in alignment with you and your own internal integrity, and you act in this way, then you know, you can get some forward progression going. But if you continue to just stay within the framework of what's draining your vitality and is sucking the life out of you, how do you ever hope that things are going to get better? If you're waiting on a rescue, it ain't coming, man. You know, and that's the message that's just really wanting to come through at this time. And at the same time, there's every reason to hope, you know. And so it's an interesting position to be at for us personally, right? And also collectively, you know, because there's every reason to hope, but you got to believe it, and you got to be willing to be daring and to start actually taking action instead of just sitting around thinking about, well, I would do this if this wasn't a problem. Well, no, it's more like, I'm going to do this, even though this is a problem. I'm going to figure out an innovative way around this issue. I'm going to improvise and I'm going to make it happen. You know, this is what's so important. You are most welcome. I am going to be wrapping up here though, because I have a client that I'm going to be dropping in with in just a few minutes here. But I do want to just see if anybody has any questions about the course material that they want to bring in, because I would like to address that for those of you that are engaged in the community Panchakarma and are working with the Roots with Wings course or the Grace in Crisis course, or both of them in tandem. I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm there to offer that support if any of you are needing any kind of guidance, or if you have something you want to bring in, an experience, or, you know, an insight. So I'm going to just give you a few moments here. If there's anything you want to bring in, I want to make sure that I'm providing that. I think, you know, that's an important piece. But this week's focus is pretty, you know, pretty chill, man. It's kind of in alignment with what came in with the I Ching. You know, it's about really pouring into ourselves, giving ourselves some space to get into what we're feeling and maybe come into alignment with these truths. Thank you so much for your powerful read. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. This is like a risk for me, you know. What I'm doing here has been a big risk for me. And it's also very different from what I initially anticipated doing with this YouTube channel. So I'm in this process myself. And I've bumped up against a lot of blocks. I've bumped up against a lot of resistance. a lot of challenges, and I just keep going. I'm just like a dog with a bone, but it's because I've connected with that place inside of me where I feel very much in alignment with my integrity. Like I have conviction in what I'm doing. I know that it's my purpose. I know I'm supposed to do this. And do I know everything about what I'm doing or what its ultimate expression will be? No, I have no idea. But I know that as I continue to go in this direction, more pieces will come in. I know that there will be new skills I need to gain. And as I've come up against challenges, I've absolutely found an avenue of personal development, you know. So it really means a lot to me. Thank you for bringing that in, Alicia. That means a lot to me because it's really hard, you know, when you realize that you're being called to do something that maybe people aren't going to understand, or you don't feel like you have all the pieces in place, or you don't know how it'll be received, and you put yourself out there. It means so much, you know, when you get somebody coming in that's like, thank you, or I resonate with what you're doing, or I believe in you, or, you know, anything like that. It really means a great deal. So thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. And I also just want to take a moment just to say thank you to all of the subscribers and everybody who, you know, comments and shows up for lives and shares a video or tells somebody about what's going down here, or has taken advantage of the courses on Cobra's Medicine Bag that are free. They're free. So do go to cobrasmedicinebag.com and you'll see right on the home page the button to free access for both Roots with Wings and Grace and Crisis, the Ayurvedic courses that sort of provide the framework for the community Panchakarma. It will remain free to you. If you dig those courses, there's 2 other courses that are free to you too. This will serve you for the rest of your life, you know, and just preventive health care, and also just mind, body, spirit alignment and transformational work. So there's the Kapha course that's free. There's a Pitta course for free. Those are all free to you guys, all right? And I hope you'll take advantage of it. But what we're currently moving through, this you can join anytime, man. I'm going to get playlists going next week. I'm going to get more organized. You know, please be patient with me. I've been going through my own transformations and transitions in my life. And, you know, I do my best to keep balanced with everything. And I'm in a growth spurt, and it's a lot for me to navigate as well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been a supporter and an encourager and has stuck by me, and all the new subscribers. There's been like so many new subscribers. So thank you so much. You're helping getting the messages out there. And I really appreciate it. I just really want to focus on community and bringing people together in an empowering way, because I think we have a lot to be optimistic about. I really believe that if we can get beyond all the divisory programming and we can start really recognizing that we're all in this together, and we can start to come together as a community and get over all these dividing lines, we can make miracles happen. I really believe that. I believe that, right? And I hope you believe it too. So keep nurturing the dream and take those bold actions. I support you, and thank you for supporting me. Take care. Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Take care.